I am Blair Kerkhoff.
I am Sam Mellinger.
And we are at the Rogers Centre in beautiful Toronto, Ontario, Canada, where we have just watched the Royals drop Game 5 of the American League Championship Series 7-1 to the Toronto Blue Jays. We'll talk extensively about the game and look forward to Game 6. But Sam, going into this game, I thought that the Royals, the way the Royals rotation is set up, that they were going with their best starter, their best postseason starter tonight. Edinson Volquez had thrown a solid game in Houston, and of course he was terrific in Game 1 of the Blue Jay series, and I think he lived up to that. Certainly through 5 innings, he was aces. But then we got to the 6th, and that's where it kind of unraveled for him and the Royals.
Yeah. It always seems to be the 6th inning with the Royals. You know, that's always the bridge. It seems like if they don't have a starter go deep, that's the bridge inning from the rotation to that really, really, really good bullpen. And I have a minor issue, I guess. Maybe it's significant, but I disagree with how Ned handled that inning a little bit. Volquez was rolling, like you mentioned, 64 pitches through 5 innings. Through one terrible changeup.
Right. To Colabello.
To Colabello, the guy hit for a home run. But other than that, he was terrific. And so he walks, and it's the top of the order. And it is a very top-heavy order. So to me, you need to be on alert there. Ben Revere walks. Josh Donaldson gets hit with the first pitch. And at that point, I think that you could go to Herrera, and it would be completely defensible to face Batista. That's what I would have done, but I don't have a huge, to me that's kind of a coin flip if you feel good about the at-bats that Batista has had against Volquez. But then, so Volquez walks Batista on a not even controversial, it was a wrong call, but he did walk. And at that point, I think you have to come in with Herrera. And Ned didn't. And
is that what he made the mound trip there, though? Did he not? Is that he made the mound trip after?
Well, Dave did.
Right.
Dave
there was a mound trip there, so the fact that it was Dave meant that there was not going to be a pitching change.
Yeah, that he's staying in. And to me, I just it's real easy to second guess from where we sit, right? But I thought in real time that was the wrong decision, and who knows? Herrera may have walked Encarnacion just like Volquez did, but to me that was a turning point in the game. And then Herrera did come in and he got Colabello. Was it a strikeout?
Punched him out.
Yeah, and then Tulowitzki had the big hit, cleared the bases with. And by the way, like in the beginning of this series, remember when Tulowitzki couldn't hit? Remember when he couldn't swing, and he was a hole in the lineup, and he's killing them.
He is.
Lately.
He's been raking the last couple games.
He's wearing them out. So to me, that was the turning point of the game. My column, and I think a lot of like sort of the fan focus is going to be on that missed call to Batista, which is really bizarre after you hear what Volquez and Perez and a bunch of other people talked about. But to me, that wasn't what decided the game. What decided the game was that the Royals bats quit. They didn't. I shouldn't say. I don't mean that literally. They just didn't hit. They had one run. Sal Perez hit that opposite field home run, and other than that, it was Bupkis. And a lot of that credit needs to go to Estrada. He was terrific. But that's what lost the game for him.
Right. A couple things. When the 6th inning started, I thought maybe you'd see Herrera up at the beginning of the 6th. Maybe I thought, okay, so at the first sign of trouble, because that was a point of emphasis after the Royals rolled in Game 4, that they had the bull. Everybody was available, all hands on deck, and you had Wade Davis was available. Herrera had pitched one, the other night, so he was ready to go. You had it lined up. You could have gone 5 innings with your starter, Madsen, Herrera, Davis, and some sort of combination to get through the final 4. But you were right. Volquez was pitching really well. No reason for him not to start the 6th inning.
Sure, right.
But I think I would have had Herrera up to start the 6th because 2 batters in, trouble had brewed. Besides the home run, that Volquez was in command, and this was the first time, I think this is right, the Blue Jays had 2 runners on. So, and it was still a 1-0 game at the time. So that's so Batista gets up, and I think the 10th pitch, the one that we all thought was a strike, and I thought maybe he even got away with a check swing. I thought maybe he, it could have been a strike on 2 counts. I thought he got the the hitter's reputation call right there. And it was a close pitch, and if I'm Batista, why are you taking that pitch?
I thought he was completely fooled.
I
think that's
after
why
the sequence, fastball, and then he gets this beautiful. I thought it was a beautiful pitch.
It's a great pitch. I thought he was fooled by the pitch. It was the first 9 pitches of that at bat were all fastballs between 96 and 98 miles an hour. Where did this velocity come from, by the way?
All of a sudden, this is a guy who had averaged, I think, 93.5 or so on his fastball this year.
And he is pumping it.
Oh, my gosh. Talk about being, motivated for the postseason.
Yeah, I saw Darren Williams, who does I think he runs baseballsavant.com. I hope I got that right. He does a lot of stuff with velocity and exit speed on hits and stuff, and he said that was the fastest average fastball velocity that Edison Volquez has had since 2008, I think it was, which that's a lot of adrenaline.
That is a ton of it, and a good time to find it, too.
Yeah, and he was really, and that was such a good pitch, too. I mean, Again, it didn't cost the game at all, but it was it's just a moment that you want the pitcher to be rewarded. And because it was a terrific at-bat. To me, that was the most fun part of the night. It was power on power, important part of the game. You'd like to see him get that call.
And maybe, we talked a little briefly about what Ned may have been thinking in that time. Maybe the 6th inning of Game 1 had an influence here, where he allowed Volquez to work out of that trouble with the 37-pitch inning. Where, correct me if I'm wrong, Blue Jays got 2 on with nobody out. Mm-hmm. I think that's how that inning started. I have to go back and look. But then he worked his way out with the he struck out Encarnacion, and I think he had a couple of punch-outs in that inning to get out of it. Anyway, obviously, the scoreless because the Royals won the game 5-0. But I wonder if that played into the thinking of Ned. He did it once. Let's see if he can do it again.
It's a good point to make, too, because there's a lot of times that me and I'm sure a lot of other people are disagreeing with Ned, right? And like, what are you doing? And that Volquez, that 6th inning in Game 1 I was not screaming literally, but in my mind I'm screaming, what are you doing? Like, this guy, go get him for, have some sympathy. But it worked out. He somehow got out of it. And Ned, I thought Vahe the other day in his column had a terrific line where he said, Ned Yost's well-documented gut instinct. And, the Royals, that has, served them so well with, and, it doesn't make sense to me, and, not that matters, but maybe a lot of other people. And, but, Escobar at the leadoff spot, Alex Gordon hitting 8th. I'm sure we could think of some others here that for whatever reason, Ned has a feel and he goes with it, and it usually works. It didn't tonight, but again, the problem tonight was the bats, and they just couldn't get anything off Estrada.
And that was a little bit of a surprise to me. We always look for adages or sayings that help us explain and understand baseball. Hitting's contagious is one of those, and that's what we use to describe what's been going on in the postseason. Everybody up and down the lineup has been swinging the bat pretty well, with the exception of Moustakas and really Perez in this series. He's a couple of home runs, but he hadn't been hitting the ball well otherwise.
I think he has 2 hits in the series, right? And they're both home runs?
I believe that's right. Or maybe it's 2 out of 3, something like that. I think he came into tonight 2 for 15, one of them being a home run, and then he homers to right. But then he hits the home run tonight. Moustakas is still sort of in his postseason funk. But you're right. We get Gordon and Rios and at the bottom, Zobrist and Escobar at the top. They've all been hitting the ball so well, and tonight hitting wasn't contagious. Nor, but absolutely the adage that momentum in baseball is only as strong as your next day's pitcher came true tonight, because Estrada was very good, much better than we saw with Dickey and Stroman earlier in this series for the Blue Jays.
What's funny too is out of playoff games are always important, right? But if there was ever an easy playoff loss to shake off, I think this is it for those guys, because they're obviously a resilient bunch, and they've this is not even like adversity to come back from, but you lose, you still lead the series, and now you go back home. And I know a lot of fans, it seems like, don't have a ton of confidence in Yordano Ventura and especially Johnny Cueto, but I think the Royals do, especially in Ventura. And, now you go home, and I think the Royals do. They're an emotional bunch, and they like to feel comfortable. And I think they feel really comfortable there. They got their win here. They control the series in a lot of ways. And I think when they're probably on their plane right now as we speak, and I think they feel really good about themselves despite losing a playoff game.
Yeah, I think if you're the Blue Jays, you're obviously buoyed by new life, winning the game. You didn't let the opponent celebrate on your field. What I've learned about the Blue Jays in this series is it's a proud team. The team with some character, and I know they've got some guys that Batista can be, he can be an emotional. They've got some emotional guys on their team too, but I thought they would be ready to play tonight. I thought it was an embarrassment for them what happened in the 14-2 game when you bring the position player in to finish the game. When you kind of wound the pride of a proud franchise, I think that has an impact and a carryover effect. And I'm just not surprised that the Blue Jays ended up playing as well as they did tonight. Now, how does that how does that transfer into going forward, Game 6? I think you're right. I think the Royals have firm belief in Yordano Ventura in Game 6. I'm not sure the Royals fan base has unconditional faith in Yordano Ventura.
Sure.
And if you're looking at it from a sort of a law of averages standpoint, isn't David Price due to win a postseason game at some point in his life?
He was so dominant in Game 2.
It was ridiculous.
Right up until the point where he wasn't dominant.
Right.
God, I mean, he was shoving, and that could certainly be a problem. But I think the Blue Jays are a good team. I'm not trying to take anything away from them, but I think the Royals are better. I really do. And I also think this. I think that I was really turned off. Not that this matters again, but I was turned off by the Blue Jays yesterday. I thought they quit.
In the late innings?
Yeah. And I'm not talking necessarily about John Gibbons bringing in Pennington, the position player. I understand the strategy behind that. They're missing a reliever, who's attending a family matter. Their bullpen's short. They weren't going to win that game. But I thought their hitters quit, and I thought they gave away some at bats, and I thought that it was telling that in Game 3, the Royals were getting smacked. The Royals were getting their butts kicked,
getting a beat down,
and they came back. And they made it close, and they at least, it doesn't matter, but they forced Osuna into the game. They forced the Blue Jays closer to come into the game. And then the next day, the Blue Jays are getting smacked, and I really did. I thought they folded. And coming into today, I thought that they might have one rally in them, one bounce back, but that I can't get that vision of Game 4 out of my head. I guess that looked like a team that was ready to go home.
And they could win the battle, but lose the war.
Yes.
Based on that.
And, I mean, that means nothing.
Well,
we'll see Friday night.
And I think inside a clubhouse, the players and manager and coaches will tell you that, what the Blue Jays do really well is hit the ball hard and long and far, and they're incredible. And they are 2-0 in the series when they've hit a home run. I believe this is right. 0-3 when they haven't. They didn't hit,
right.
Didn't hit one in
3.
Didn't hit one in Kauffman Stadium, and didn't hit one in the 14-2 loss.
Yeah.
So, so there's the key. Keep the ball in the yard against the Blue Jays, and you win.
And that is an absolute baseball. I haven't checked the weather, but I assume it's going to be chilly Friday night in Kauffman. It's a big
We're looking
stadium.
at rain, perhaps.
Ooh,
Actually, looking for some rain Friday.
Yeah. And that's a huge park, which is the worst match for the Blue Jays. So,
and maybe that helps Ventura. Of course, he pitched one of his very best games in the Royals uniform, World Series Game 6 on a chilly night at the K last year against the Giants when he pitched the 7 shutout innings. So the Royals, you're right. They get their victory in Toronto and lead the series 3-2. If you had to pick a team that you'd rather be right now, it's clearly the Royals.
No question.
And as we record this, it appears the Mets are on their way to, I think they're up 6-0 and on their way to sweeping the Cubs in the ALCS. So whoever wins the series looks like they're going to get the Mets and host the Mets. And
what a weird thing that is. I mean, it would have been weird if the Cubs were in it too, but God.
Well, the way the Mets are just blowing through the Cubs at this point, it's amazing. Maybe the Cubs will come back and rally and pull a Red Sox of 04 and win the thing, but I don't see it happening.
No.
So anyway, hey, thanks for listening,
Yep.
and continue to listen to the podcast. Does this have a name? Are we calling it
Yes,
something?
KC Sports Beat.
Sports Beat. I like it. I like it.
I think that's right.
That's right. So tune in to KC Sports Beat. He's Sam.
Hi.
I'm Blair. Thanks for listening.
Bye.